searching. I've got shit in the boot.
I think I got you out of your shell.
Where do I begin? My name is Andie, and this is my song called I Know Now. 4 years ago, before we were in love, I boarded a plane to fly home. I am 26 years old. I am primarily a musician, but I also supplement my income with lots of other things, lots of other side quests, because I've never wanted to rely on playing crappy gigs to pay my rent. I really like making things with my hands. I also work at a coffee roastery, like bagging and tagging coffee, and I've been a specialty barista for about 9 years. And I also make stained glass windows with a friend of mine. I've been doing that for a couple of years now too, so I really enjoy that. I love to write really literally, and I think that part of the reason for that is that it serves as a form of therapy. Like, a lot of the time in life when we have issues with people, it's not easy or straightforward to actually tell them how you feel, because, you know, it's either a professional space and you can't damage that relationship, or you can't be too outspoken, or I've grown up in a small town where even in a personal space that's not professional, it is difficult to be outspoken because everyone knows everyone, and if you're not feeling particularly brave in expressing your opinion, then it's much easier to keep your mouth shut. So in that case, you can always put it in a song. I think that because music is an art form, you can always be safe in telling your objective truth, because it's not hearsay and it's not necessarily like slander or defamation, it's art. So you can get away with expressing yourself in a way that you really wish you could in real life. And so I love to write literally, and I love to write cynically, and most of my lyrical inspiration is from, like, directly from real life experiences or feelings that I have about a thing or a person or an incident. I thought I knew you. I guess I was wrong. Vandie, which I now have titled Another Bloody Vandie, was born around the time when I wasn't making my own music, but I still wanted to channel my creativity into something, and I had developed quite a large YouTube audience as a teenager just from covering viral songs. And so I had this audience, but I wasn't delivering my art to them, and I kept on getting all these comments and messages saying that people really wanted to see my content, and so I got inspired to make content of my friends and other artists who I really admire. And I had a van at the time and a camera and a Zoom mic, and so I started shooting and producing other performers in my space. And I'd been making YouTube videos for a long time, but I think working on Another Bloody Vandie was really where my passion for filmmaking kind of got to take a front seat. And A Tiny Slice of Dee is my other web series that I haven't posted in for a little while, but that was kind of another time where I was feeling really passionately about filmmaking and storytelling, and I decided to make a self-produced personal documentary series. I had about 7 or 8 years worth of footage, just archival footage from parties and gigs and adventures and tours and all this like beautiful life that I was experiencing and really had the urge to document, but then I never really did anything with it. And so in early 2021, I went and stayed on my friend's property south of Goulburn in a place called Wendelamar, which is really just the middle of nowhere. No internet, no satellite Wi-Fi, and I just put my head down and sifted through about 7 or 8 years worth of archival footage and voice memos, and that's how A Tiny Slice of Dee was born, because I wanted to do something with all the footage that I'd collected over my joyous life. My dad had a acoustic guitar in his room when I was a kid, and I remember singing even at the age of 3 or 4. Dad and I always used to listen to lots of 70s, 80s prog rock together. I love Steely Dan and the band Yes, and a lot of jazz greats as well, and like modern jazz Dad really got me into. And then my older brother, when we were in primary school, he got the star role of Oliver Twist in the school play, and he was walking around at home as like a 10, 11-year-old singing all the songs from the musical, and I learnt a lot of them as a 5-year-old in kindergarten, and my parents were like, what the heck, like this kid can memorize lyrics and hit the note most of the time. And so they asked the teachers if I could audition for a solo that wasn't originally in the school play, and I went and sang for all the teachers in the staff room at lunchtime one day as a 5-year-old, as a tiny little thing, and they were like, yeah, you can have a solo, whatever, and I was like, woohoo! And so then I'd just been singing and performing in school and started busking in public when I was about 11, and was also really lucky to have some preliminary music lessons in piano from the age of 6, and then when I was 12 I stopped learning piano and started doing voice lessons as well with a fantastic local jazz musician up in the mountains called Rachel Hannon, and she kind of introduced me to the jazz music that I really love and identify with now. When I was younger, it was a bit more purely music focused, but then when you're in your like late teens and early 20s and you realize that life is complicated and you know, mental health is always going to change. I had the contraceptive rod put in my arm for 3 years, and it really killed my creative drive for music. But at the time I didn't realize the connection, and so I just kept on getting upset about not feeling driven to make music, and that's kind of when I started dipping my fingers in all the other pies of, like, I bought a van and converted that into a little home and started doing lots of other things to try and comfort myself about not having made much music. And then when I got that rod taken out, I started writing songs again and just realized how much I'd filled up my time with other things that weren't music related. So the last like 3-4 years has kind of been a rebalancing of my time and all the kind of creative pursuits that I have, and realizing that if I wanted to pursue a career in the music industry in a particular way, then I would really have to pull out all the stops and really put my head down and work a lot harder in that respect and refocus on music, which is kind of what I've been doing over the last 2 or 3 years.